So, this is the passive voice. Paul receives the action of the verb. It is a grace thing. God is the one that pours his comfort into us, his happiness in the midst of pressure. Comfort is an additional supply of happiness necessary in that moment of pressure. When the pressure is a little bit too much for you, and it's not too much for your capacity of doctrinal capacity, it's just that we are imperfect many times. We do not apply it. We become lazy in the application. Sometimes it's much easier to remain angry. It's much easier to worry. It's much easier to think back and say, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna tell him that, and I'm gonna cross boundaries and I'm gonna tell him this. It's much easier to do that many times instead of us applying Bible doctrine and personal love, the 10 problem-solving devices. As a result, because we refuse to apply doctrine and we decide to take the human solution, we not only compound that pressure, but simultaneously we lack that comfort that doctrine is supposed to produce. That doctrine, if we apply the doctrine, we allow the human spirit to breathe out. So, pepleiromai, this is the passive voice. It is grace. God produces the action of the verb of filling us with comfort in the midst of pressure. The indicative mood, this is declarative from the viewpoint of reality, that God filled him up with comfort. And now we have the dative of material, or dative of content. You could say that this is an instrumental dative. I have been filled by means of comfort, but I like to emphasize the material, the intangible material, which is happiness. Because at that moment of pressure, when you're going through something in front of your family and they just completely beat you down, they weighed you down, or at work, you have an abusive boss and he is going after you, just harassing you, do this, do that, why don't you do this, you did that, don't you have time, this and that, and you are completely weighed down. Or any situation, God is always watching, and he does give you comfort at that moment. Ask for it. God knows. God knows whether you're applying the doctrine or not. God knows whether you are weighed down because of your arrogance or not. But if you need it, ask him, and he's going to pour down that comfort on you, that comfort necessary at the moment. This is the intensive perfect, meaning that he was filled with comfort, with the result that he continued enjoying that comfort, which eventually turned into a happiness that is overabounding, that is overflowing. Okay, so I have been filled with a material, with comfort, consolation. Okay, and this was because of the ministry of Titus. Sometimes God pours in directly or indirectly. Indirectly was through Titus. And the reason why is because he was depressed about something. One thing or several things related were causing depression. And therefore, in order for him to be cured from that depression, he had to have comfort. There's no way for you to jump from depression to happiness immediately. That would be considered wide emotional swings, emotional instability, psychosis. There's no such way. There's no way for you to be depressed and all of a sudden, boop, jump to happiness like that. There has to be comfort, first of all, to make that transition to happiness. And that's the reason why God has to give us comfort. The reason why Titus had to come indirectly and give him comfort regarding the reason why he was being distressed and depressed. So I have been filled with comfort. I have been filled with comfort. All right. So now we have another one. We have a present passive indicative of huper perisuo. We've seen perisuo before. That means to overflow. But huper means really to overflow extremely, richly. But this is the passive voice. And I'm not going to go on and try to say that this is an active voice. So I'd like to go with the translation that he's been supplied lavishly, richly. Huperperisuo. This is a present tense. Present tense is progressive. First, you have the perfect, in that he was given comfort in the moment of pressure. From that depression, he received comfort. From that comfort, he is now overflowing with happiness. Comfort is happiness in the midst of pressure, and then happiness, inner happiness, is the result thereafter. There's always those people that have great power over us because of personal love. Anything that they do, they can cause us headaches. Anything that they mess up in can ruin our days, etc., because you've given their personal love to them. This is the case with Paul. Anything in the Corinthians, their failure, whatever, a lot of the stuff that they thought, etc., really impeded his happiness. But now God has given him that comfort, with the result that he says, I have been supplied lavishly. Present tense again, he enjoys inner happiness. Passive voice. Paul receives the action of the verb. God is the one who produces of being supplied lavishly. And the indicative mood, this is from declarative, from the viewpoint of reality, that he and now is able to resume his plus H even more now. Apparently this was a great test for Paul, and God in his grace provided the comfort. So we're going to translate this. I am supplied lavishly. For this is the present tense. I am supplied lavishly. And then another dative of material or content. Some books divide the dative of material from the dative of content. But yes, material, intangible material, also known as happiness. Excuse me. I am supplied lavishly with happiness. This is plus H. Inner happiness, joy. Don't be scared to call it happiness. A lot of churches are really scared to say to admit that you can be happy. To admit that the Bible talks about happiness. The problem is that they confuse outer happiness, outside happiness, with inner happiness. They just think that everything is outside happiness. You know, you're happy because you have a car, you're happy because you have a girlfriend, you're happy because you got a new cup, a new thermal cup, or whatever it is, depending on the happenings. But no, this is also happiness, inner happiness, chara, joy. So don't be scared to call it happiness. Another reason is that since they became Christians, they are extremely unhappy. A lot of Christians are very unhappy because they do not advance in the plan of God by means of doctrine. So the inevitable result is that they are miserable. They are disciplined. So they don't like to see the word happiness. And so I am supplied lavishly with happiness. And now we have epi plus the adjective pas, every or all. And then thlipsis, another dative, which is modified by pas. Affliction, distress, pressure, every pressure, all pressure. So epi plus this dative is, so epi plus the dative can mean upon. But epi plus the dative also has a temporal, meaning that whenever they are being afflicted. So we're going to translate it in all pressures. Whenever he feels a pressure, he is supplied lavishly with his joy. And then another pleasure, is the result probably, but pressure, whenever he experiences it, he is supplied by this happiness. And then another pressure, he is supplied with this happiness. This is all part of the comfort, being filled with comfort. And so also we have the possessive genitive of ego, also known as heimon right here. And now we have a translation. I have much assurance face to face with y'all. I have much boasting on account of y'all. I have been filled with comfort. I am supplied lavishly with happiness in every or in all our pressures. It uses the genitive plural here, even though Paul is speaking in the first person singular. I am, I have, I do, I am filled, I get supplied lavishly. But our pressures in the plural because they are in a team, and when one person is pressured, all of them are pressured. This is one of those situations where when one person suffers, everyone suffers. That's part of blessing by association. Except Paul was not so victorious in this application of Bible doctrine and this pressure. Okay. Before we move on to the doctrine of happiness, let us go over a few points. Do you need me to go over the translation beginning of verse 3? All right, let's do this. I do not say this to condemn you, for I have said before that y'all have such a place in our hearts that we would die and live with you. I have great assurance, or I have much assurance face to face with y'all. I have much boasting on account of y'all. I am filled, or I have been filled with comfort. I am supplied lavishly with happiness in all our pressures. Point 1. The person who has a greater place in your heart has power over you. Yes. The person who has a greater place in your heart has power over you. Point 2. Personal love surrenders the custody of your happiness to the object of your love. Point 3. When things are going well with the object of your personal love, you are happy. When things are not going so well, you are upset, disappointed, bitter, disenchanted, saying such things as, I'm going to tell her this, I'm going to tell him that. Yes, that's all point 3. Let me go over that one again. Point 3 says, when things are going well with the object of your personal love, you are happy. When things are not going so well, you are upset, disappointed, bitter, disenchanted, saying, I'm going to tell her this, I'm going to tell him that. Some people even form a whole script. They walk around the room and they start saying, okay, I should have said this, or I should have done that, or you know what, next time, tomorrow when I see him, I'm going to tell him this, and I'm going to tell him that, I'm going to say this, and all that. So they form a whole scenario, and they also form plan B or plan C, etc. And it's crazy because there's no rest in that. But that's the power of personal love over you. The reason why you need impersonal love together with that personal love, because that personal love is going to let you down. Personal love has to do with a person with a sin nature. He's going to have mistakes. He's going to have all these little things that probably bug you. Now, let me remind you, yes, it's true that personal love depends on the attractiveness of the object, and they're going to let you down. But that does not mean you just go on and make friends with anyone. Yes, you have to be wise about making friends with someone, and you have to find, as part of the attractiveness of the object, you have to find virtue, you have to find honor, you have to find a sense of humor, or whatever it is that you need in a personal relationship. When it comes to friendship, category 3 love. When it comes to romance or marriage, category 2 love, you need to find, obviously, your right woman. She needs to have honor, virtue. If you're a man, you need to make sure that she has honor, virtue. You are a believer, so she has to be a believer. You are a doctrinal believer, so she has to be a doctrinal believer. And all these things that she has to meet, all part of personal love. But then you also have to match it. You have to have that support of impersonal love, because she's going to have customs that you do not like. She does not put the toilet seat down, or he doesn't put the toilet seat down. He puts the toilet paper in its place upside down instead of allowing the paper to hang from the top. He does not wash the sink. He leaves all those spots of waters. Whenever he splashes and he looks at himself in the mirror, he leaves the mirror full of water stains. He does not make his bed. His feet stink. He is a little bit stinky. Our arms bit stink. So there's things that are really gonna get to you, and that is the reason why you need personal love as a support for that personal love. So whenever that personal love gets, lets you down, something you don't like about him, at least there's that support of impersonal love. All the virtue lies in impersonal love.